you've batch created, and now there's content for all these different topics, all these different subjects, all related to what you do. I know this is what we're saying, oh, it's too much, but you must invest in yourself. You have to be the first person that says, I'm gonna take that risk for myself. So, I understand, but I just wanted to drop that gem in real quick to give y'all something to stretch. Get money. Sprinkle, and you know what? I also need to let them know. Get munch, look at me. I got y'all.
Right.
But now when we're thinking about our success, oh no. I couldn't let that ride without more people knowing about it. The moment I found out, I had to tell everybody about this. Everybody needs to know. Now, speaking of everybody needs to know, I know I tapped into my mentors and my support system. What was that like for you guys? How were you able to network and improve your own brands and understand what your voice was through your mentors or even just your supporters? All right, let me start with you. I know, I thought the hardest question is to you, but I know you can answer it.
I don't know, as in I have no idea, but I think it's levels. Whenever I hear mentor, I have a specific thing in mind. And I think, I'll take it. I'll take it. Oftentimes I think of when I was a kid, I grew up and I had both parents in the household, and I heard mentor, and oftentimes it meant for people who did not have a father figure, honestly, when I was growing up. And so something about that word, truly, I'm like, oh, I wasn't seeking one. I didn't have one. There's something that feels, but there are plenty of people that came before me in my industry that have poured back into me and have been an example of, what leadership can be, and Black men that I think of specifically when I think of like some people that I know, that's like I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you. Woody King Jr., who has the new Federal Theater. There's a gentleman, Glenn Singleton, who runs an organization about courageous conversations that does diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Who, I spent one weekend with him, and seeing how he led a room was really impactful, and a reminder of Black men taking up space and with grace and love and kindness, and still like power and commanding things in a respectful way. So those are two people that in very different ways I really looked at and said in a moment's time, and I said, wow, it's possible to exist in a theatrical space in a leadership role as a Black man and lead in a way that really excites me and feels like it sees a different type of leadership than is often we see in the media. I'll leave it there.
I love that your mentorship came by someone leading by example.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not what you're hearing or what you're being told, it's more about what you see. Because that's what you're able to relate to, so you know it's possible to apply it to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
I love that experience. Chuck?
Yeah, so I got a lot of my mentors through books because, we didn't have any mentors, particularly in business. So I'm not talking about what you mentioned, father figure, but I mean business mentors or creative mentors. If anything, creatively, my art teacher, who was a Black man, he was a mentor to me, but that was, in school. But, people like Earl Graves, who was the founder of Black Enterprise, was a mentor in my head, who honored us early in our careers with an award from that company. But other people too, I come from the mobile era, so people like Russell Simmons, even Steve Jobs, is one who I would consider a mentor, because a lot of the early all hip hop aesthetic was based a lot in part from Apple, like Apple's when were you different or something. I forget exactly what the slogan was, but things like that. And We both read a lot. We studied the greats and learned from them that way. When we came into the industry, we were hot. So there were a lot of sharks trying to take advantage of us. So nobody really would sit and mentor you because they were so busy trying to take advantage of you. You know, so that's why we never really had mentors.
Was there ever a moment for you that you said, okay, it's time for me to start passing along the information that I did learn?
Oh, I've been a mentor, yeah, to infinite people. Yeah, I've been a mentor to innumerable people. Even sometimes people I don't even remember will remind me that, you know, I was acting as a mentor. Sometimes they're older than me, you know, it's really, sometimes it kind of shakes me to hear them say that.
Of course.
I have to go, by the way. Unfortunately, I have a train to catch.
Yes.
But
Thank you
for having me, and we'll definitely.
How do we get in contact with you?
You can hit me on IG, Chuck Kramer.
Chuck?
Yeah. Or Jigsaw at allhiphop.com.
Jigsaw?
Yeah, JIGSAW.
Chuck, thank you for being with us.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, and if you do need his contact again, we'll just follow up again after the training.
Honestly, I'm not a part of any forum or anything. I came slowly, so I think I'm just.
And on your birthday too.
I'm on my birthday. Yeah.
I would definitely love to leave time for you all to ask the questions of our panelists. Is there anything that you have on that's like, this is a burning moment for me?
One of the initial things that I'm well, actually, this is more like a question, I guess, for Robert. I was wondering if, because I'm hearing his expertise in finance, and I'm just wondering, is that a shared experience with the rest of the community? Is there an open dialogue about this process that he's been an expert in? Is this something that we can access, etc.? So on that subject, I think strategizing and in general sharing information is actually not such a hard thing to do unless you're someone who thinks that you're a gatekeeper of the wellness in the media industry, or the idea of branding altogether. You've got it down. So I'm just wondering where A through Z, the reason why I pay for this big employer, I ain't got no job, I don't spend money, I very much like to exist in poverty because it propels me to don't sleep, get it done, figure it out. But okay, so production, branding, all these features of this event that I discovered out of nowhere. It's notification on Facebook. I'm what's going on? Because it's unusual. But yeah. So okay. So as it relates to some of the foundational books, what maybe an easier way to break this down would be keywords that are important to know in these spaces, or books, for instance.
Well, I'm gonna also say, and just hearing from where you're coming from, sometimes you may need to think outside of the box with some of the things that you need. So sometimes you have to get creative and take your no's and find a way to make them a yes, and identify keyways. So one, I would say building your network, building a community of people who understand your needs, but also can give you different resources. In this conversation, told you about a free trial that you can tap into to create content. And in some way, create 10 videos that you can now use for a month or two to build your business. And sometimes it may get a little creative. You're creating multiple emails. I know it can get a little hectic, but until you got it, that's what you do. And there's no need to make yourself look like anybody else. Be yourself. identify and speak that truth for yourself that I'm not where I want to be right now, but what I'm doing right now is going to get me to where I will be excited about who I am and what I'm doing. So definitely be patient with yourself and be aggressive, be creative, and be excited about that process, because there will be a point when you tell your story because someone else needs to know that it is okay to be creative about the journey, you know?
Is it not like a failure of like the idea of agency or entrepreneurship, or like that you have an idea even to begin with, that you wouldn't have like the A through Z, like the map, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, of course.
like it is a rendition of failure, you know? Like to not have the play-by-play. I imagine if I were to create a business plan, it has to at least be minimum like 2,000 pages. Because what I would be attempting to do is plan like day after day, like strategize, like this is what we need to accomplish over 3 months, in 2 months, like in 1 month, like every single day per the hour, like very systematic, like this must be accomplished, this you can do in 15 minutes, between these hours is this.
Well, a wonderful lesson that I continue to remind myself and anybody that is trying to accomplish tasks is that you've got to take small bites. And so I say it to myself, like, I want to get a Grammy, I want to get a Tony, I want to whatever I want to do. If I keep it as broad as that, it's not going to help me to wake up and say I can achieve it. But when I say, hey, I'll